bring this together, I want to introduce you to the SODAP scale, which I've adapted from the CCAP scale used by Dr. Martin Aad in Christian-Muslim relations. In the SODAP scale, we differentiate transformative approaches and goals. We start with S, which stands for sameness or syncretism. A sameness approach would say that there's no difference between, for example, a secular humanist view of disability or an Arab worldview of disability or a biblical theology of disability. That all of these perspectives are basically the same, work toward the same end, and therefore the goal is simply to preserve the status quo. Let them do what they will do. O represents overlap and cooperation. An overlap approach to transformation recognizes differences between divergent worldviews, but also recognizes that there are important shared values that allow us to work together toward a common goal of reform or practice. For example, a Muslim and a Christian and a secular humanist may be able to work together based on a value that is shared across their different belief systems. D represents dialogue and discussion. A dialogue approach to transformation has the goal of deepening relationships and understanding between people with different perspectives, with the transformative aim being mutual respect. A represents argument or apologetic. An argument approach to transformation has the goal to convince others that a particular perspective is more accurate, more closely aligned with what is real or true. And P represents polemic or dogmatism. A polemic approach would be focused on all that is wrong with another perspective with the goal of destroying those perspectives. Now, my contention is that as followers of Jesus, as a Christ-centered educator, we can work toward different types of transformation at the ODA levels based on the context in which we work, but we must always avoid the S and the P of SODAP. To flesh out the overlap category a bit, I want to provide examples of how we might approach this model to transformative perspectives on disability. In the overlap approach, we can see that there is some overlap in values between a secular model of disability in the West, an Islamic perspective, and a biblical theology of disability. All three perspectives would agree that humans have worth, but we also recognize differences concerning what gives people worth. In the secular model, value is ascribed by law. The Islamic perspective, God makes things good. In the biblical perspective, value is rooted in the Imago Dei. All three perspectives value human rights, but we also recognize differences in what gives humans those rights. In the secular model, rights are law-based, individualist. In the biblical model, they are relationship-based through Jesus. And in the Arab world Islamic perspective, they're community-based, collectivist, where the community decisions may supersede the law. Finally, all three perspectives value belonging, but we also recognize differences concerning what constitutes belonging. In the West, belonging is viewed as institutional and societal. In the biblical model, it's related to faith in the kingdom of God. In the Arab world Islamic setting, it's often familial and ethno-religious. By identifying overlapping shared values, we can work toward societal transformation with others, even though we have different worldview assumptions. To sum up, within the SODAP scale, we find room for different approaches to transformation. Overlap provides the opportunity to develop social allies in broad-scale societal reform. Dialogue creates a space for meaningful and respectful discussion. Argument allows us to articulate our thoughtful convictions. And the broader question we are concerned with is how do we do this from a biblical perspective that does not elevate one cultural frame against another, but instead looks to bring all aspects of culture under the lordship of Jesus Christ. As educators, I'd like you to consider how you can use the SODAP model based on your educational objectives. In your classroom, you may be focused on promoting civic responsibilities and change across religious perspective, the O level. You may focus on developing understanding, respect, and dialogue, the D level. You might focus on making a case for a particular point of view, the A level. We should always avoid the S and the P levels.